Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And guess who's back with me? It's Jiulio Consiglio, and he has another book that we're going to talk about today, and it's called The Healing Frequency. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm holding it up right here, okay, you guys? And it's going to be a fun show. So remember to share the show with your friends. And remember to hit that subscribe button. Before I bring them on, I just want to talk a little bit about thanking my audience for watching Nice News with Nancy on Sundays. And it's become a thing, and I'm liking doing it, so I'm going to keep it up. And so thanks for tuning in and watching me on Sundays. Also want to thank all the people, if you don't know about the VIP High Road to Humanity on my website, it's $5.99 a month, and I'll answer 2 questions for you per month by email. And you have access to all my videos. And I just put a video up about energy vampires and auras. So you guys can check that out. Or if you want a psychic reading, go to nancyyearout.com and click on the book button, and you can book your date and time on my calendar. Now, what I want to tell you guys about right now is some good news. This is interesting too. So the headline reads, new hydrogel tablet that can purify a liter of river water in an hour. Now, this is really big. So as much as a third of the world's population does not have access to clean drinking water, according to some estimates, and half of the population could live in water-stressed areas by 2025. So finding a solution to this problem could save and improve lives for millions of people. And it is a high priority among scientists and engineers around the globe. This is nice to hear, by the way. So it says scientists and engineers at the University of Texas at Austin have created, it's called a hydrogel tablet that can rapidly purify contaminated water. Now, one tablet can disinfect a liter of river water and make it suitable for drinking in an hour or less. What do you think about that? That's pretty cool, huh? Jiulio, any comment on this?
That sounds pretty incredible, and actually could become a useful tool.
I think so. It says the special hydrogels generate hydrogen peroxide to neutralize bacteria at an efficiency rate of more than 99.999%. That's really cool. So it's hydrogen
really high.
peroxide. Yeah, it works with the activated carbon particles to attack essential cell components of bacteria and disrupt their metabolism. This is really cool. Because here's the thing, we sell bottled water, which I don't think is so healthy to begin with because it's in plastic. So here we go with that. And, people are talking about, I think water is now being sold, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's being sold as a commodity, right? On the New York Stock Exchange. Have you heard about that? That water?
I've actually heard rumors that water is going to be one of those commodities that are it's just gonna be worth so much.
I know, it's scary, but that's kind of cool. So Jiulio's back here today, and he's a spiritual teacher. He's an author who focuses on the transformative powers of inner stillness, the mind-body-spirit connection, and psychic abilities development. His message is that there's life beyond fear and incessant thinking, and it is found in the dimension of inner stillness. Boy, that's the truth. Jiulio currently offers his consciousness-based teachings to individuals and groups. Welcome back to High Road to Humanity, Jiulio.
Thank you for having me back, Nancy. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for coming. Hey, the audience may or may not know your story. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've gone through? Because you talk about it in this book, The Healing Frequency. You talk about what happened to you, and then your brother, and then your marriage. Do you want to hit on some of those points to kind of, bring the audience up to speed?
Sure. And what I would start with is what I gained from these experiences is that developed faith and trust, that spiritual maturity that comes through faith and trust. So at the age of 19, I began to experience really intense emotion. And on a conventional approach, it was, described as anxiety. So I took the conventional approach, and nothing seemed to work. Regardless, despite those negative feelings, I went on and got my degree in dental hygiene. I came back home, and right at that time, we realized my brother was dying with cancer, and he fought that for a year and then passed away at 33. That left me with a lot of questions, and I tried to sort of move past it, and years went on, and I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, only to have that crumble 15 months later.
I know, that's so devastating too, I have to say.
It was, and we both realized we weren't happy. And looking back, neither one of us had the tools that is necessary for a conscious relationship. The following year, I was given a cancer diagnosis. Now, you would think that would be enough to set off a spontaneous awakening, because by that time, I really had a lot of questions. But it was actually my experience with a night terror the following year that was the final straw, and that was the catalyst for that shift in consciousness.
I tweeted something you said in your book today because I thought it was so good. You say challenges are an opportunity to demonstrate who you are.
Absolutely, because it's through those challenges, it's through adversity that we can call upon strength that we probably never even realized we have, and that is coming from Source or God. So those challenges serve a purpose. Without the challenges, we would not seek to grow, to understand.
Right. So your message is for people to go within, work on themselves, and go through these things and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, or what's your message?
My first message would be your decision. So it's your will that defies the odds, that power of our inner being overcomes circumstances when we tune into it. Circumstances do not necessarily have to have any meaning save the meaning that we give them.
Yeah, it's all about our mind, isn't it? Like how I wrote down a bunch of quotes from your book. I liked your book, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You say, I was reminded that the mind is the thoughts that impregnate our consciousness, and what we dream as true, what we deem as true is what we eventually come to experience. And it's true. It's our thoughts that create our realities. Do you want to talk about that a minute?
It absolutely, because everything begins and ends in the mind. So our perceptions, the way we view life, if we are looking at it that way, it's our thoughts, it's our emotions that paint our lives expressed. But there is actually an awareness where you can actually go beyond that thinking mind and experience and see life through stillness. And it's through stillness that we see life simply as it is.
Yeah. And you got to that point, and that's where we find peace, is when we find the stillness, isn't it?
It absolutely is, because once you find that unchanging essence of your inner being, it's the mind of God. That's what that is. And that's where you find your strength, that rock, being centered in that now moment is where we anchor ourselves, and we end up becoming unmovable once that faith and trust is really developed.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about that, and we're going to get into that a little bit more today, about having faith and trust and being tested. But before we do, I want to address the ego. At one point, you got a message that came to you that said the ego is the devil, which it kind of is, actually. Talk about the ego. It took me a while to get over myself. I know you had to do it too. We all have to, right? But then I wanted to say really quick on the ego before you get into it. Don't we need a little bit just to keep going?
Let me start with that. The ego offers us that contrast. Now, before awakening, it's a source of suffering and still is contrast. So I have to start by saying this, and I say this probably at every interview, is there's nothing wrong with the ego. The ego is it's a divine tool necessary for our awakening. Now, going back to describing it, the ego operates between past and future, and it's the source of our suffering. It convinces us, it's convinced the masses that our suffering is caused by something external, when the truth is it's our own thinking, inherited thought process. Now, when I say the ego is the devil, what I mean is it's that negative sort of
Self-talk. It's the self-talk, isn't it?
Exactly, but continuously fluxing between past and future. Now, to take that a step further, if we look at the word even Lucifer, bringer of light, it now becomes more clear that this negative entity that we identify with is actually the catalyst for our awakening to realize who we truly are beyond thought.
That's interesting. I like that. You know, I think more people are realizing the power of our thoughts and our words. They're starting to understand that we are creators, and that's what, the people who are in charge have tried to keep humanity at a place where we're so afraid that we don't realize how powerful we are.
We've been conditioned to believe that we are these biological beings, and we have, there's never been an emphasis that it's our minds, our power is in our minds, our words, our thoughts, our vibrational frequency. So that has been hidden from us. And it's only through, quiet meditation, self-discovery, inquiring, that we begin to unravel the mystery that we are and realize we're connected to source or God, and separation is an illusion.
Well, and we're getting ready to go to commercial break, but really quickly, I want to mention that you did heal from your cancer.
I did. I experienced a spontaneous healing. It was a moment of surrender.
Let's talk about that when we come back. Hey, you guys, I'm here today with Jiulio Consiglio. His book is The Healing Frequency. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Jiulio Consiglio. His book is The Healing Frequency. Right before we went to break, I asked Jiulio about his healing when he had cancer. And I want you to talk about this because I really feel strongly that we can, and we can heal ourselves. We truly can. Talk about this.
The potential within us to heal ourselves is almost unspeakable, in the sense that there's nothing that, when we make that conscious connection with our soul, which is a part of source energy, there's nothing that cannot be healed. When I was struggling with that intense anxiety for those many years, I actually had a healthcare specialist tell me I would be sitting up in my coffin having panic attacks. What that did to me, though, is just stoke the fire in me more. At the age of 24, come hell or high water, I was going to find a way. And because I went through those sort of wake-up calls, including the cancer, that set off that spark of surrender, of wanting to surrender and just allow source to take over.
Well, you say what really hit me yesterday in your book is towards the end, which I hate to go to the end, but it really hit me hard. It's a quote from the Bible. It's Matthew 19:26. And it says, "For man, it is impossible, but for God, all things are possible." And it's almost like, and I just want to ask you this, did you feel like you just had to say, okay, God, heal me, and believe that it was going to happen? Is that kind of what you had to go through?
What happened was I had hit my lowest low, and I called out in the shower for another way. And then I sort of let go. I let go. I never thought about it again. And it was weeks later where I experienced, a spontaneous awakening. And then it was about 33 days of mystical events, and one which was a mystical event of self-healing.
Interesting. And that's why it's so important, you guys, that we connect, don't you agree? Every day. I mean, I connect every day. I'm sure you do too.
I do, and I've always been sensitive to energy, but I'm in my centeredness. This is who I am. I can't be anything other than living in the moment, being connected, because anything other than that, the experience is one of suffering. And not that you will not experience suffering when you make the shift, but there's a difference between conscious suffering, where you're able to immediately observe it and have it die within your consciousness, or sort of perpetuate your unconscious suffering. So there's a big difference.
Well, yeah, I think you have to consciously make an effort. Like when you get those negative thoughts in about the past, because I've had to do that myself, and I've been doing the Ho'oponopono thing. Do you know about that? Where you think of the person and you say, I love you, please forgive me, I forgive myself, I'm sorry, thank you. And it's that energy that you send out to that person, even if they don't know it, of course, you're just doing it. That changes the frequency. What do you know about that? I've been doing it lately. What do you think?
I have heard of that, but you're so right. And that works based on our oneness. So we can't experience sort of anger without having anger towards someone else. And we can't experience forgiveness or release without, in our minds, forgiving someone, because you're only ultimately forgiving yourself. We're all one.
Yeah, because that's what I realized when someone taught it to me. And the first thing you say is, I love you, which, when you're really mad at someone or you've really been done wrong, it takes a lot to say you love somebody, and then you have to say, please forgive me. But then you say, I forgive myself. So in that moment, you're freeing yourself from the whole deal, and you're freeing them too. And that whole energetic, combativeness or whatever it was, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Forgiveness in and of itself is more than just a word. It's a force, and it releases us from the past. That's what it does.
I like that. I really do like that. Go back to finding stillness. I do this and I center myself, and I am to a point where I kind of watch what goes on around me, but it's hard to get to that point. I really feel like you have to really just connect with God every day to do it. What do you think? Tell the audience what works for you.
It's having that awareness of the present moment. So the present moment is literally the ascension ladder. It's where our vibrational frequency, if you're very, very tuned into that, one with it, your vibration raises to the point where the mind is quieted. And if it's not to that point yet, you can become aware of your thoughts and then make a shift and become aware of the space between your thoughts. That's the stillness. That's your true essence.
Yeah. I knew I made it when I got in the car and I didn't turn the radio on. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, you were aligning with the stillness. Yeah, I understand that completely.
Well, no, because I used to get in the car and the first thing I would do was turn on the radio. But then when I became really connected, I didn't do it anymore. It was weird. It was like I didn't need that outside noise to occupy my mind.
You were enjoying the silence. That's what you were doing and resonating with it. So
yeah, isn't that interesting? So what else? What do you want to talk? We were talking before the show, and I want to share it. We got about 6 minutes before we go to break, but I want to share some of this with the audience because I'm going through. I said to you, "Gosh, life is just like crazy right now, and my faith is really being tested." And I want you to talk about it because you said you're going through it, and you've talked to other people. So please elaborate on this right now. What's happening to us?
So what we're experiencing right now is an acceleration of human consciousness. And if we really look at it honestly, the way the world was headed, it was unconscious. We were so wrapped up in our lives and not really taking sort of an understanding of why we're here. Right. What is the whole purpose of this? So this is forcing us to awaken. It's forcing us to realize that the consciousness that we inherited, which bounces between past and future, is self-defeating. And what this is also doing is a sort of a wake-up call to develop that faith and trust that we will get through this, but you have to let go of the fear and trust in the unconditional love that always resides in you, that is you.
Yeah, you know, I just want to bring it to some real life stuff. I just want to say that I can only relate with what's happened to me in my lifetime. And I know that every time I've ever had a really tough time, God has always come through. And he's always come through big, like way bigger than I thought was going to happen. And there were times where, you know, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it is right now a real test. Different things I can just tell you personally that I'm going through. But it almost makes, how can I say this? It almost makes your connection stronger.
It actually does. And I'd like to refer to a quote that I refer to often. It's from A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
There is no order of difficulty in any miracle. All expressions of love are maximal. Essentially, it's saying there is no bigness or smallness when it comes to God. There's no order of difficulty. It's just trusting and allowing the process to unfold, trusting the process.
Patience. I've been dealing with, like learning patience. Like it doesn't come. Okay, so let me just rewind and tell me your thoughts on this. You know, we are manifestors. Okay. So, like you said, when you were talking about your healing, you ask for what you wanted and then you let it go. And that's a big part of manifesting. And so, because you can't hold on to it, you can't go, oh my God, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? You have to just say it and let it go. But then on the flip side, you know, you have to trust and be patient. And patience is really tough.
It can be, and it's sort of a double-edged sword. So those that are really tuned into their spirituality, they expect things. Hey, you know I can manifest. Why isn't it happening now? Well,
Right.
It is happening in the quantum field. Just that we have this illusion of time and space. So it looks like there's this, this delay, but it's that trust, and allowing miracles to express to us and through us. So yes, I agree with patience. It's sort of like a muscle. You have to develop it.
Yeah, and I know it's tough. It's not easy, you know, and you kind of have to change your mindset to be more patient, is what I've learned. What do you think?
It is. And because we've been so conditioned to want to control things in our life, the
That's
minute
it.
that things, yes, the minute that things are out of our control, we think, oh my God, my life is falling apart. The whole world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
No, there is a purpose and to everything. And this is serving a purpose now to raise the collective, because we are making a shift from 3D or thinking mind consciousness to that vibrational frequency of inner stillness, where we are aware of our oneness with Source or God.
Mhm. It's really, actually, it's very calming once you do connect, and it is more peaceful. You are more at peace, and all these things do go on around us, but we don't react as, I guess we just are not as reactive, isn't it? That's kind of what I feel.
I think the big lesson here is to make the shift in that circumstances, because what it is, we're conditioned to react to circumstances.
Right.
And if you realize the power of your inner being, because it's one with God, one with Source, from that vantage point, you realize circumstances mean mean nothing unless you plant something on it. So it's keeping a vision of what you want for your life, trusting, having that faith, but then letting go how and when it's going to unfold. So letting go of attachment.
That's hard to do. Hey, we got to go to commercial break, you guys. I'm here today with Jiulio Consiglio. Julie, how do people find you?
I have my website, which is JiulioConsiglio.com, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, Jiulio Consiglio.
Okay, and his book is called The Healing Frequency. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Jiulio Consiglio. I'm really glad you're joining me. You're in Canada, correct?
I am, Southern Ontario.
What's going on over there? What's life like?
They are still restricting a lot of things. It's sort of shocking when I see what's going on in the States. There's so many places that are open, and here we still have restrictions. For example, restaurants, I believe, are still at 50% capacity. Mind you, though, there was a hockey game in Toronto the other day, and it was 100%, 20,000 people.
Yeah, you played hockey, huh? Yeah, for
I played
sure.
a little bit of hockey. So there's still, I mean, compared to other countries, I know Australia has got some pretty rough going right now. But I'm finding that the more they push, the more people are starting to question what's really going on.
Well, and I see that too in the United States. I was talking to you briefly on the break about Southwest Airlines, and they have their union, and they said, hey, we don't want to take the thing, and we don't want to be made to. And so there was a lot of flights canceled this past weekend here in the United States. And they tried to say it was because of the weather, but it wasn't because of the weather. We can all look outside. So these things are coming into play very clearly now, it seems. What do you think?
It is basically what's going on as part of this awakening is a revealing of what has always been. So we are now becoming aware, of the control that has been placed on humanity for several hundreds and thousands of years. And
Right.
it's until, even in our own minds, until you become aware of something, can you then do something about it, make a shift, and create
Right.
differently?
Well, Revelations is reveal. Think about that.
Exactly.
Revelations is revealing the truth. And I'm going to have a guy on the show, and he was talking about there's a lost book of Sarah that gives a different ending, a different revelation, where it's the positive, where it's where we evolve. And I got to get a copy of it, because you're right, there's been so much hidden. I've had so many different people on the show. I do as much as I can to make people aware. I've also had a lady on the show that talks about the sleepers. So we all have our part in this. What do you think about? I mean, because some people are awake and some people aren't, and we all are kind of playing our part. What do you see happening here, Jiulio?
I see there, when you look at it through a spiritual point of view, there's perfection in everything. When I say perfection, I mean source or God. So
Right.
everyone, even those who haven't awakened yet, or who are, deciding to take certain things, for freedom, they're all serving a purpose. So everyone collectively is already one in spirit. So we are actually, a very organized collective, and everyone is actually serving a purpose for this shift in consciousness that's happening. And for some people, the deeper you are asleep, the louder the wake-up call you need. And I'm speaking from my own experience, what was needed to make me realize who I truly am beyond that thinking mind. So
Now, people in Canada, because of the really tight restrictions, are they waking up? Is it forcing them to wake up a little quicker, or what do you see happening? Or are people just complying? What's going on there?
some people, some more and more are awakening, but there are some, and you have to make peace with it. There are some that no matter what, they are just simply going to choose not to awaken. And you sort of have to let that go, because the moment we react and say, oh my God, my goodness, this amount of people are not waking up, you can't operate like that.
You can't judge.
You
You
have to
can't
let go and
judge.
trust. Exactly. So you have to
Yeah.
let go and trust.
Yeah. So what do you see happening over here in the States that surprises you?
How I actually heard how they're going to limit how many children could be had in a family, and I heard something about once a man hits 40, a vasectomy or some sort of procedure was going to be needed to limit the number. I think I heard that, so that sort of took me aback a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds like China.
A little bit, yes. Yeah.
Now what I've noticed, well, that's surprising because I haven't heard that. What really is that I have to bring to the forefront is the critical race theory, and where parents are coming to the school board meetings and they're being arrested. And there was a lady from China I saw, I don't know where I saw it, like an article, and she said that's what happened to them, and that's why she's in our country, you see.
Yes, they're trying to, silence people, and sort of I find it as simply intimidation, but I'm finding, especially with the women are fierce in this awakening process. The women are really, really standing up, and I'm seeing that in my country as well.
Really? That's nice to hear. And the men are more compliant, you think?
I think more compliant, but also a little bit hesitant to sort of engage. I've been to several rallies and freedom rallies, and most of the time it is the women who are really standing up. These are mothers, so it's that mama bear instinct coming out.
Well, yeah. Well, no, and it's absolutely true. And I have grandkids, and they're talking about doing this thing for the younger kids now. And I'm not for it. And and then of course, then the parents worry, well, if they don't get the thing, well, then is that a problem? You know what I mean? So it's really coming to the forefront here in the United States. And I'm happy to see people stand up and speak up. And like here now it's becoming issue, and you can tell me what's happening there. Here, the mandate, if you have 100 or more employees, that it's required, and a lot of people are walking away from their jobs and they're doing something different. Have you seen that happen?
I've been seeing it happen here, but I think in the U.S., from what because I try to, look at both countries, I think in the U.S., they're taking more of a harder stand against it. So I'm really happy and proud to see that.
The religious, yeah, there's a religious, which that's my stand too, is the religious. And so but you don't have that over there because you don't have see, we have the civil acts, right? We have the civil acts, I'm trying to think, I think it's 1964, where it protects people for religious freedom.
We have several laws in place, like, this is not mandatory in my country. So, but they're trying to say that the narrative that I've been hearing is, unless you have a severe reaction to the first little poke, you don't have an exemption almost. So it's interesting to see, but we have several laws, but what I've been seeing globally is countries just sort of trampling on people's rights. So
yeah, what do you see in Australia? I've talked to a couple of people over there and done some readings. Have you talked to anybody over there?
I haven't, but I've been, keeping abreast of the news that's coming from there. And, you can't leave your house past 5 kilometers, and, having to be masked outside, people getting ticketed and arrested for not. So that is an inversion of reality, from my point of view.
Right. And then, Jiulio, as people wake up, I mean, and they see that this is happening, I mean, what do you think? Why are they trying to control us in such a way? I believe they're trying to, this is my opinion only, but I believe that the people who are unhealthy and who are elderly were pointed to be eliminated.
Yes, and my sense is there's a few sort of perspectives from this. Is they realize that they cannot evolve because they're disconnected from God or source. So to make them feel better, they have to sort of create a de-evolution in us. So the other thing is, if you're operating from fear, and if they're afraid of our light, and if they realize that an awakening is happening, that they're trying to stop it. But ultimately, from what I see from a spiritual sense, that, this is the will of source or God. So there's nothing on earth that's going to be able to stop this awakening, this shift in humanity. I know it deep, deep within myself that there's nothing that's going to stop it.
I agree with you. I really do, wholeheartedly. Yeah. And I used to worry, and I just will say this, but I don't worry about the dark so much, because the more love I bring in, the dark doesn't like the love. So the dark will stay away from us as long as we're full of light and love. What do you feel about that?
Absolutely. If we are connected with source, if we're connected with love, you can literally, I'm getting really, really spiritual here, is become invisible almost to the enemy in a sense. So you are guided, protected, anointed. That word anointed means covered in oil. Nothing sticks to you. So,
Mhm.
one of my favorite sort of affirmations is I rest in the shadow of the Almighty.
Very nice. I like that. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. Our show's going really quick today. I'm here today with Jiulio Consiglio. We're having a fabulous conversation. His book is called The Healing Frequency. His website is JiulioConsiglio.com. This is Nancy Yearout, and we'll be right back. Okay. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here on the last segment with Jiulio Consiglio from Canada. Jiulio, let's continue our conversation. You were starting to talk about the dark, the light, what the people are trying to do to humanity right now.
Yeah, so there are a few doctors who have actually studied what's in these vials, but beyond that, even the leader of the World Economic Forum has talked about this transhumanism agenda. So it's melding sort of artificial intelligence with human beings. So he even expressed in one interview I saw, I believe it was with Charlie Rose, that he had a fear that it would disconnect humanity from their soul. So when you as crazy as it sounds,
Okay.
this is a reality they are trying to push upon us. So it's understanding that we are sovereign beings. So we have a choice. We have a choice to evolve or to stay where we are or devolve. So
Right.
we have to sit in our sovereignty.
Well, yeah, and I want to ask you, I saw something yesterday that really freaked me out. There was a doctor and she had taken some blood work. She did a test of what is in that thing and she put it under a microscope. Okay, so what she saw and what I saw were like little, like round, almost like sensors. Like they look like sensors and they were all connected. And it was like, and that's what's in that. And so is that what you feel like? I was thinking it was more of a tracking thing or a control thing, but you're saying you think it's more of a detachment of our soul kind of thing.
That's what they've talked about. And if they're working, and created something to affect our vibrational frequency,
Right.
or attach to the brain, because these are lipid nanoparticles, then there's something to this. And I have heard of people who've taken this experience negative emotional effects
Mhm.
beyond physical. So I think there's something to this. It's just that we don't know fully, to the extent of what's really going on.
Well, I feel like it's more of a control thing, more than anything, and to control our vibration. You guys, we are made of energy. I just want to say this because everybody forgets. We are made of energy. We are energetic beings and we are in these bodies. And that's why, I'm able to pick up messages from the divine. It's the higher frequency that I'm connecting to. That's, why you're able to do the work that you do. Talk about this. Once we connect, you get messages and you don't even need to call me anymore.
Absolutely. Like, we are a mind, body, spirit. But the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is we are 99.999999% space within us, if you look at it from a quantum perspective. So we are essentially spirit. And even the manifested world is spirit. It's all within the mind of God or source. Coming through a spiritual point of view, that's when you begin to realize we're in an energetic universe. So everything is about vibration, frequency, intention, faith, trust. Those are forces. So
Right.
it's understanding that we're not in a cemented sort of 3D reality that is very hard. No, it's very fluid. It's very spiritual in nature, ultimately.
Yeah. And when we look at it that way, we look at life a whole lot differently.
We do. We realize that we can manifest our destiny. And again, going back to, not allowing circumstances to dictate our state of being. That's, I think, one of the greatest challenges that the collective has, is looking past what's going on and from within, having that faith and trust, that a way has been made.
Yeah, you guys got to go within and use your own mind because, you can't watch the news. I'll tell you that for sure, because none of it's for real. It's all, I watch it and I see right through it. And once you're awake, you do see right through it. And it's really interesting because it has brainwashed so many people. And I feel so bad. And a lot of people can't get out of that mindset. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like just recently, we had a major newscaster apologize because they actually had a mannequin sitting in as a patient, strapped to all these tubes. So, it's quite laughable when you can really see things for what they truly are.
Yeah, it's like the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, right?
Absolutely. Looking beyond the veil.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about why it's so important to connect. And I just want to say that when you connect, you're connecting to love. You're connecting to a frequency of love. And when you bring that frequency into your body and your soul every day, you start to be kinder and nicer to people.
Absolutely. So you start, expressing what you are in essence. The other thing I would mention is you now are operating through guidance. I find wisdom,
Mm.
understanding, clarity. It's a one-way street from God, source, to our conscious mind. So once you've made that connection, you now have discernment. You now have clarity, and you're able to read energy, read a room, even read someone from a distance. There's no limits when it comes to spirituality.
Yeah, and I just want to say trust because that's been something I've been working on and I've talked about on the show. I trust giving information to other people, but when it comes in for myself, I'm always questioning. Did you have that as well? Did you, or no?
I think we've all experienced that. So it's just, again, what you said, trusting, when
Mhm.
those messages are coming through, are they
Right.
fear-based or are they high vibrating information? And then, knowing that we are guided, we are always guided and loved.
Yeah, and I always look for the second sign until I strengthen that. I'm working on it, but I think I'm getting there. But it's hard, I can tell you anything about yourself, but when it comes to me, it's like, oh, really? Well, maybe, and you start to question. The mind comes in, and it's hard. You have to separate. You got to get the mind out of there. And it's different, guys. When you get the messages from the divine, it's completely different than your mind, and you can start to recognize that difference. Talk about that a little bit, Julia.
Absolutely. So when you're, getting downloads from spirit, they are usually very quick, high vibrating. There's no fear to it. So it arrives as clarity, as direction, wisdom, understanding. Anything coming from the ego will be fear-based, doubt,
Mhm.
uncertainty. So anything that questions who you are relative to source. So that's a really clear sort of way to look at it.
Yeah, because a lot of people say, well, how do I know? But you'll know. And what you said is correct. When I ask a question for somebody and I'm doing a reading, it comes immediate. It's like, boom. There is no hesitation whatsoever. So that's how you know. That's a really good way to, tell people, huh?
Absolutely. And it's trusting what's coming to us. We
Mhm.
second guess ourselves a lot. And
Yeah.
that's where we sort of stumble. So if you come from that space that, again, that you're guided, and it's looking to other things too, even it could be a song, it could be the next fortune cookie, anything sort of remind you that, hey, you are being guided, you are loved, and we are watching over you, you are supported.
Yeah, you'll be given signs. Thank you for saying that. A lot of times it's a number, like you say, or it's a song, or it's a bird, or it's you'll see something on TV and it's confirmation or whatever, and that's nice. You get that sign. Because when you're connected, you're right. Then the spiritual realm will help you. And I just want to say one more thing, and I want you to talk about it. You have to ask for help. The spiritual realm is out there, your angels are out there, your guides are out there, but you do have to ask and establish a relationship. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so, connecting, going inward, even spending a few minutes in meditation and even asking, who are my guides? When I'm in meditation, and I realized this many years ago, the first word came to me was Mary. So I understand that she is one of my guides. It's without question. I've had some pretty incredible mystical experiences, warnings, in fact, and it's that feminine energy that has come at times. It's just absolutely astounding.
Well, tell us a couple stories. What you got for us? Tell us the story.
I'll share the story. So I had a couple of years ago a pretty sort of severe car accident, and I remember being at physio several years ago and being worked on and leaving the room, walking down a long corridor towards the exercise room. The
Wow.
instant I walked out to that corridor, I was bombarded by female energy, danger ahead, danger ahead, danger ahead, and it was literally sort of vacillating in front of me. When I got to the back room, I looked over and I saw a gentleman speaking to one of the therapists, and I immediately knew he was an investigator. And then he went on to prove it because he began a conversation with me and asking me questions. So it was instant. And before I even got back there, so our guides, the intuition,
Yeah.
it could be everyday things. Nothing is too little for them. So I just found that interesting.
No, I like that. I think that's really cool. Well, tell us what you're doing these days. What do you got going on? You got another book coming out, or you got some classes going on, or what's going on?
So at the moment, I'm working on my fourth book. So
Okay.
I'm busy doing that. And I am doing individual teachings right now, either over the phone or internet. Things have not really fully opened up yet to really do, events, speaking events like I
Mhm.
used to. So
Yeah.
hopefully at some point soon.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm really glad you came here. Is there a message that you would like to leave us with today, or is there anything in particular that you want to tell the audience that would be
I,
helpful?
I just want to remind everyone, we have a choice. We can choose to give belief to fear, or we can choose faith and trust. The fear is an automatic condition. It's an automatic reaction, and that's operating through lower frequencies. Again, nothing wrong with it. But the question is it serving you? And in this case, it's not. We are making that shift to higher dimensions of consciousness, and that includes faith and trust. So if you haven't had that faith and trust, now's a good time as ever to begin to cultivate it. And a quick way to sort of begin that is to look back and see all the times sources or God has actually brought you through those fires. That's a great way to sort of start.
That's absolutely the truth because, faith is something, it took me a while, but then once I had faith, and then, every time I've ever gotten in a spot, boy, he just pulls me out. And, I don't know, God is in everything and God is love. And it's not, I don't know what form, he's just energy. I say I don't know. A lot of people say, oh, there's not some guy up there, but there is a creator and he watches over us. And I don't know, I feel like it's really important that you have a relationship, that you can talk to God just like he's your friend. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And God or source wants to be remembered. That word literally means to rejoin. So, source wants to us have that conscious awareness, because in having that conscious awareness, we are then reminded who we truly are, and we step into our power and realize our thoughts, our words, our frequency, our intentions, they can move mountains.
I know. And then once you do this, I just want to say that then your whole life changes because everything you do is about God, everything.
Absolutely. You're operating actually through a surrendered state. So you let go of trying to control. And in doing that, you actually gain control because
Yeah.
now you're trusting and you're allowing the highest self to express to you and through you.
Yeah, Jiulio, that was really well said. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'm really glad you came on today. Hey, his website is Jiulio Consiglio, and it's CONSIGLIO.com. The book is The Healing Frequency. I hope you'll come back and see me again.
I would love to. I love chatting with you, Nancy. Thank you for having me on again.
Okay, it was a pleasure. Hey, you guys, have a great week. And thanks so much for joining us on the high road, and God bless.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.